From KPFK in Los Angeles, California, Valley Free Radio in Florence, Massachusetts, WNUC in Detroit, and BikeTalk.org worldwide, this is Bike Talk.
Bike Talk.
Welcome to Bike Talk. I'm Taylor Nichols.
And I'm Nick Richard.
Hey, Nick.
Hey, Taylor.
I'm getting ready for my trip. It's less than 2 weeks away. And as I get so close to it, I'm really getting these feelings of like, man, I'm going to be away from my wife for a long time and away from my dog and my kids and all these things. And something came to me today. We've talked about this before on the show, that your Uncle Dan lives here in Los Angeles where I am in an assisted living environment. And so I went over there to help him because he needed a couple of things taken care of. And it really struck me that we are all going to be in a situation like that at some point in the latter quarter of our lives. And that if I don't do this trip now, I may miss my opportunity to do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and thanks for doing that, by the way.
Yeah. Should that assuage my guilt for leaving my life behind for 2 months to go do something sort of selfish for myself?
Well, it's not like a midlife crisis. You're a little past that.
Hey.
But it's interesting, yeah. How old are you?
67.
Yeah, wow.
You know, normally I lie about my age. That's one of the few times I've ever said the truth.
Well, that means something. Yeah, 67. And how many miles?
4,000.
Wow. Your wife is okay with it, Marga?
Yeah, she is okay with it. That's what she says now. She's been very supportive of me getting ready to go and getting the things I need to get in place to go to do it. But it also means leaving her at home alone for 2 months. You know, she is going to fly out to Montana and meet me for a few days and then fly to Michigan where my father is. And, you know, my dad's 101. And so if I don't do it soon, he won't be around to, you know, see me do it or have me ride in the driveway. And so that's another reason. But it is hard. And I remember Josh Bowden of Adventure Cycling saying this. You know, you have to be in a place in your life where you can put some things on hold for 3, 6, 9 weeks while you go on this adventure.
It could be now or never.
Yeah. I mean, you would have a hard time doing it because you have a young child.
Definitely. A few days is hard. A day is hard. I think you should go on this trip.
I'm going to, and I'm getting all ready, and I'm going to take some pictures of the bike and talk a little bit more, I think next week, hopefully, about what I'm taking on the trip and how I'm preparing for the actual trip. And I'm going to leave from San Francisco. My daughter's having some of her friends come, and I invite anybody from San Francisco or the Bay Area to join us. We're going to meet at the Phil's Coffee Truck on the Marina Green on Saturday, May 16th at 8 o'clock in the morning. And I'm going to roll out at 8:30 and ride my bike across the Golden Gate Bridge. And I'm hoping my daughter will ride a bike that I left for her that she never rides in San Francisco, which really bums me out. But I welcome anyone who is in that area who wants to come and have a Phil's coffee with us to please show up on Saturday the 16th at 8 a.m. at the Marina Green.
All right. It's going to be a party.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
Well, it's going to be a party, even if it's just your family.
You know, one of the things I was doing in getting my bike ready to go was I wanted to watch a mechanic change my hydraulic brake pads and bleed my hydraulic brake fluid. And I had a hard time finding it, Nick. I went to the bike store that I normally go to, which is kind of a corporate bike store. And I went to another kind of corporate bike store, and they didn't help me. They wouldn't allow me to watch the mechanic or to work with mechanic. So I had to do a little digging. And I got to tell you, I found a really cool bike shop in LA to help me out.
All right. And you got the sound?
I got some sound from the LA Cyclery, and this is Paula. When Gloria Inez was looking for a bike because of high gas prices, Jim Cadenhead and I sent her to bike stores because that's where you should buy a bike, not at a department store or online or something. But I'm going to go one step further and say that you have to go to an independent bike store. People who listen to the show know that I'm getting ready to do a long bike ride, and none of the big stores, the corporate stores, would let me watch the mechanic and follow the mechanic and do that. So I had to go searching in Los Angeles for an independent store, and lucky me, I found one. It's LA Cyclery, and it's owned by Paola. And you are a saint to help me out today. And Dani, the master mechanic, how long have you owned the store? And tell me a little bit about your store.
Yeah, so I've owned the store for 7 years already. We started in 2019, February of 2019.
Right at the pandemic, right.
1 year before the pandemic, actually. The pandemic started in 2020. Right. We started 1 year before, luckily, because we were already kind of like established a little bit. But we started in the basement. Basically, my ex-partner rented the basement for me. And we stayed there for a year. And was with the pandemic that we started having an influx of work that was more than we could handle down there. And at the same time, this space opened, and that's when we moved up here. And we've been here ever since. A lot of things that happen around here, and I'm really glad that you're talking about independent bike shops. When we talk about independent bike shops, is what we call mom and pops, no?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. So basically, there's a lot of bike shops in general that are closing. The economy, as you very well pointed out, is not in the best shape right now. And over the past 7 years that I've been open, 3 bike shops around me have closed. One of them being one of the most popular, if not the most popular in all of Los Angeles, called Golden Saddle.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Golden Saddle used to be...
Ale now, I think, right?
Ale, yeah. But it's not the same... I mean, Kyle is the owner, right. But it's not the same group of people. Right. Everything changed, and they're actually moving now because the place that they were at, it was too expensive. So... all this to say, it's been a harsh few years for bike shops, and I really appreciate you encouraging people to move on to the.
Well, I got to tell you, I appreciate you allowing me to come into the shop and watch Dani and work with Dani, because I'm a decent mechanic, but a lot of the stuff that Dani was doing today is above my pay grade, and I want to at least know an idea of what's going on. And when I went to the corporate shops, one of them kind of gave me a runaround, and one of them just said no. And so I'm really lucky that I found you.
Yeah, I mean, we always try to help people. I'm one of the few, I guess, bike shop owners that still is not a business that you will retire from. It's something that it's a labor of love, and I guess that bug is really ingrained in me. Right. No, I really love bicycles. I really love the people that ride bikes, and I try to do my best to just keep people on their bikes and create community.
Right. Community is a big word. I agree.
It's important, and for me, it's particularly important because probably your listeners can tell, but my voice is not the most feminine one, and that's because I'm a trans woman. Right. And this is a trans woman owned shop that there's not that many, not only in California, but in the whole country. Right. There's only a handful of them. So I'm very proud and out to be one of the few trans women owned bike shops in the whole country. And to me, it's very important to basically create a space that is safe and it's welcoming to everyone.
To everybody, I was going to say.
Yeah, but definitely very specially to my community and the people that I try to keep more dear and close to my heart, which is definitely...
Well, it's a great shop. You sell bikes, you fix bikes, you have all kinds of accessories, and you also teach customers, which is really great. The story started with Gloria, and I think she is going to end up going to Bike Oven to work on a bike and get a bike going there. But when she's done, I will send her here. And the shop is LA Cyclery, and it's on Sunset in Silver Lake or Echo Park. What are we?
This is Silver Lake, actually. For a couple of blocks, away from here, it already Echo Park starts, but we are right at the very edge of it. If you're familiar with Coronado and Sunset, we're just 1 block away from there.
Well, I can't recommend it enough. They've been really helpful to me. And Dani, I got to get you to say hello here.
Hello, this is Dani. You need help with something? We're here.
Thank you very much. Paola, thanks very much.
No, thank you so much, and happy to be of help.
So you got a bike shop where you can watch your mechanic.
Yeah, not only was I able to watch, I was able to kind of work with Dani, the master mechanic. And Paula and Dani kind of went over everything. So the bike is ready to go. That was good.
Now we have
Stacey with Stacey's News.
I'm Stacey with this week's news. The Seattle Times writes the city of Seattle will pay $9.25 million to settle a lawsuit filed by a bicyclist who slammed into a car and suffered a traumatic brain injury while riding in a parking-protected bike lane. 24-year-old Aviv Litov was cycling on a newly designed bike lane when a car turned into a driveway in front of him. The bike lane ran between parked cars and the sidewalk, making it difficult for drivers to see oncoming bike traffic. Note, this is the style of bike lane I was riding in when a driver did the same to me last July in San Francisco. In Richmond, Virginia, it is now illegal to park in a bike lane or a buffer zone next to a bike lane. The city has been issuing warnings for the past month, but under the new law, buffer zones next to bike lanes are officially designated as no parking areas, and vehicles parked there will be ticketed. And in the city of Santa Monica, they will be using automated bike lane enforcement to keep bike lanes clear. They piloted the technology and identified nearly 1,700 violations in just 6 weeks. Registered vehicle owners of vehicles stopped in Santa Monica bike lanes will now receive a warning notice in the mail. On July 1st, the warnings will end and they will instead receive a $93 citation. The New York City Mayor's office unveiled a design to put the park back in Park Avenue, reimagining a key stretch of Midtown Manhattan as a greener, safer, and more people-centered corridor. The proposed redesign covers 11 blocks from 46th to 57th Streets, reduces car travel lanes in each direction from 3 to 2, and accommodates seating, plantings, and other pedestrian and cycling amenities. Bike lane improvements are being studied in coordination with the city's broader bike network. That broader network was showcased this past weekend in the 40-mile Five Boro Bike Tour. One of those 32,000 riders was none other than Mayor Mamdani, who became the first sitting mayor to complete the entire route in the tour's 48-year history. The Five Boro Bike Tour is the opposite of a race. Rather, riders are enjoying the car-free streets of New York at a leisurely pace. With 5 rest areas, music, food, games, and entertainment along the course, it's more like a massive cycla or cyclovia. I hope to join them in 2027.
We heard about Park Avenue maybe being redesigned. They're talking about 2 options. One has bike lanes, one doesn't. And there's a survey, which we'll put up at biketalk.org, so you can weigh in on which option you want. But I think either takes away 2 lanes of traffic, widens the median so that you can have an urban forest.
That's like everything old is new again, because Park Avenue used to be like that a long time ago.
Oh, wow. I did not know that. Back in your youth?
Yeah, back in my youth, maybe in my dad's youth. But the city of LA wants to be car-free for the Olympics in 2028. But I got to tell you, my eyes on the ground level here in Los Angeles is we are not prepared for a car-free Olympics in 2 years from now. So whoever's going to be mayor next better get it in gear and fix our streets.
Yeah, well, if it's Nithya Raman, we might have a shot. Speaking of Stacey's news, last week she mentioned Lincoln Sabini killed in UC Davis.
We got a chance to talk with Aaron Shaw, who is a student at UC Davis and a friend of Lincoln's.
Aaron has the Justice for Lincoln movement.
Aaron, welcome to Bike Talk. I wonder if you could give us a little history of what happened to Lincoln and that stretch of road that is not protected between 2 sections of the UC Davis campus, and how Lincoln was killed.
Thanks for having me on. I feel like Davis is sort of a well-known place. People associate it with bikes and bike lanes. It's where the first bike lane in America was built, supposedly.
Right.
The town, we have the Bicycle Hall of Fame is right down the street. A lot of bike advocacy groups, and there's Davis Bike Club, the Bike Campaign, Bike Collective, Bike Davis, And then we have UC Davis campus right here as well. Very bike-friendly campus, like a lot of college campuses, but especially since it's in Davis, the bike town. There's 20,000 people who commute to campus every day, students and staff. That's sort of an estimate that I got online. And there's sort of this core campus area that is divided by a highway called the 113. But the UC Davis campus kind of extends beyond the 113 into this area called West Campus. And it's a beautiful part of Davis, and there's also access to Puda Creek, which is the creek that runs through town. So, in the summertime, we go jump in the creek. But as UC Davis expands, they're building more housing in that area. And so in 2021, they built a mega apartment high density complex there called West Village. And so there's a couple roads out there. One of them is Hutchinson Road.
And that's the road that
that's the
Lincoln
that's
was
the road
killed
that Lincoln was killed on.
And I also want to throw out that in 2022, Tricia Yese was also killed on that road. Is that correct?
Yeah, it was a different section of Hutchinson, and she was hit and killed closer to the Davis core, but it's a dangerous corridor, because it connects West Campus to the campus core. So if people are trying to get from, one of those places to another place, that's the quickest way to go. So you're gonna take that road. And so anyway, there's part of West Campus. Hutchinson Road is a main artery in West Campus, and it's been sort of a neglected piece of road for a long time because, a lot of people use it to get out to West Campus, but it's a 45-mile-an-hour road, straight, maybe 2.5 miles long. People just fly down that road going 50, 60 miles an hour. And there's a decent shoulder, but it doesn't even have really good signage or paint or anything that would indicate that it's bike friendly or bike safe. And just a thin white line,
Right. Well, can you tell me what's going on? There's been a whole movement to now create a protected bike lane sort of in Lincoln's name. And I wonder if you could tell me where you guys are in that. And are you getting anywhere with the campus administration or the city administration to put in a protected bike lane?
Yeah. Well, when this happened, it became obvious pretty quickly that we could do something. We could take action. To me, that area, there's so many people who have known about this area of campus for a long time, me included. And it's UC Davis campus. You have students biking everywhere, thousands of students every day. So the fact that there's a 45-mile-an-hour road with no protection for cyclists on this campus is crazy and
criminal.
Yeah. And in addition to that, the area of campus that we're talking about is also like such a beautiful area. And I ride my bike out there a lot to just go out to the creek or ride, just get outside and go ride, see the sunset, whatever. And that sort of became a way to channel the energy that, the passing of Lincoln, the effect that it had on us is to fight for change. And the idea of the Lincoln Loop kind of just came to us pretty quick. And that would create this beautiful little loop that you could take and go through Puda Creek Riparian Reserve. So it's just this beautiful loop, and it's one, it's access to nature, two, it's access to work, UC Davis, all these facilities, and it's long overdue. So we started, him and his friends and I kind of came up with this, just talking about it, and we're like, yeah, we need to get this going. We need to make this happen. And so we started a petition, trying to organize, doing the best we can to organize. And, obviously it's sort of a learning curve. And I'm so grateful for all the people that I talk to and who have more experience in organizing, just because, it's a community effort when something like this happens. And there's always people who have little tips and strategies and stuff. But, I've been around transportation advocacy for a while. I've never truly been on the front lines like this before.
Well, you are now, right?
Yeah, for sure. So we started a petition. We wrote an email and addressed it to UC Davis leadership.
Great.
Congressional leadership. Mike Thompson is our congressional representative. County people to Lucas Frericks, the county supervisor, and some people on city council. So we did that, because it's UC Davis. It's a UC Davis road. Hutchinson Road is, but the Lincoln Loop also includes Road 98, which is a county road. So sort of a mix of jurisdictions that we're dealing with. And, the more support, the better. I think, people at leadership levels for infrastructure projects, they all kind of lean on each other in some ways. So,
Well, we know that when cities and municipalities and even college administrations take a long time to put in safe bicycle infrastructure. There's a cost for that. And oftentimes the cost is, lives. And I think the fact that 2 UC Davis students have been killed on this same stretch of road in 4 years is unconscionable. And I just, I'm so glad that you guys are out there fighting for protected bike space for everybody.
Yeah, totally. You got to wonder about the legality of it, and the lawsuit that's gonna happen.
Absolutely, yeah. And there should be a lawsuit. That's what lawsuits are for, to create change.
Yeah. And all that stuff is really interesting too. It's a little bit out of my wheelhouse, but the family has a lawyer, and they're trying to, they're probably diving into the question of whether or not the UC had enough notice, had enough, awareness of something bad that might happen. If there are records of people complaining about this road that go back for years and years, then, they should have known, they should have done something. And so more of that blame would fall on them. Well, the investigation is still ongoing. So
sure, of course,
which is interesting. Obviously I think it's a little complicated because it could be, they're really trying to do, I think just look at it really closely.
Yeah. I saw a clip of Lincoln's mother speaking, and she said, something good has to come out of this to protect other people's children. We're fighting for the next kid who has to ride to West Village to a job or to get home, and can do so safely. I wonder if, just as a way to end, if you could just tell me a little bit about Lincoln.
Lincoln was 20 years old, but very, just the things that he was excited about and doing, and the community that he had built at that age is super impressive. He was on the triathlon team. I think he went to high school and was doing water polo, and so he was a swimmer. And he loved bikes. He was getting really into bikes, and so he built the Bike Collective. And I could tell, then and then even more afterwards from his friends, just how much he loved bikes and the Bike Collective and the cycling thing. So that's why I'm fighting extra hard in this, because he was a bike comrade, and I can tell, if he had a longer life, he would have been doing the same stuff that I've been doing. So it's just like, when you see someone sort of on a path like that is similar to yours and similar to something you're really passionate about, you get really, it hurts.
Absolutely.
It hurts, because of that, but also, it's inspiring.
And you won't be able to go on a ride with him now.
Yeah. I mean, we all lost someone really special. His best friend, I just feel so much for him, because he had this best friend, Logan, and Logan's around, but it just sucks, man, to lose a friend like that, like someone who you're so close to at that age. So hopefully the community heals, and we can remember him in this positive way, and we can make an impact now to kind of continue his legacy.
Well, I think the Lincoln Loop is a great way to remember him by protecting future bikers. Is there a website or an email or something that you can give for our listeners if they want to help support the project?
Yeah, we have sort of a smattering of contacts and ways to support. We have a Gmail. It's Justice for Lincoln Sabini at Gmail.
Sabini.
Yeah. We have an Instagram, Justice for Lincoln, on Instagram. And I think we have a Venmo. That's, Lincoln Loop. Please reach out if you guys want to keep tabs on what's going on. And we got some good momentum, and we're going to keep going.
Well, hopefully today's advocates are tomorrow's leaders. And it sounds like you're on path to be a leader in the bike community in Davis. Aaron, thanks so much for coming on and telling us what's going on. And I'm really sorry for your loss and the community's loss of Lincoln Wells Sabini.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
We are just starting to get into this idea that parents can be held responsible for gun violence of children. And there's a story in the news now about a parent being arrested for e-moto violence caused by a child. There was a kid riding an e-moto illegally, and he hit an 81-year-old U.S. Army veteran and killed him. And the mother was arrested. And there's been a lot of talk about this e-moto, e-bikes. And it seems to me, you guys, that it's a good thing that parents are going to be held responsible for their children, just like I think they should be if their child gets a gun. We have Jim Pocrass, who has been on a world tour of Europe, back with us. Jim, welcome back to Bike Talk. And Nick, what do you want to start with to get Jim going on this topic?
This is a big story, and this comes right after another Guardian story about e-bikes, and the title was, "As e-bike crashes send an increasing number of people to the hospital, cities search for solutions." And it sort of echoes the New York Times article, "The Dangers of E-Bikes."
Right.
They don't do these stories about cars. We could hold people responsible when their teens kill people in cars, which happens all the time. But we talk about e-bikes like it's this new menace. I mean, it is a problem. The fast ones, the unregulated ones, the illegal.
The e-motos. Yeah.
But there's this disproportionate concern about them compared to what is really killing people on the roads.
Right. Well, Jim, can you unpack this for us, and can you help us figure this out? Was it right, do you think, to arrest the 14-year-old's mother for allowing him to ride an illegal e-moto?
Well, I think that, we have to take a look at, parents' responsibility. Okay, are parents responsible, for their children? Okay, if we're talking about somebody that's under 16, it's legal to be on an e-bike for a 14-year-old. Right. Okay, but when you get a situation where the bike has been modified to some extent to get it over the allowable e-bike definition and get over 28 miles an hour and too much power in it, like this one had, that would go like, I think, 50 or 60 miles an hour, and the mother knows that, and she had been warned, and she allows her child to ride a illegal, it's not an e-bike, but an e-moto, there has to be some responsibility for that. That's criminal responsibility.
So that's why she was arrested.
That's why she was arrested. She was responsible for allowing a 14-year-old to ride, in essence, a motorcycle or an e-moto, whatever you want to call it, but it's not an e-bike. If he was riding an e-bike, it would have been legal for him to be doing that, and she would not be arrested.
Right, okay. But you're not a criminal lawyer, you're a personal injury lawyer, so how does that affect your work?
Well, it has big effect because every single case that I get in where somebody is on some type of an electric vehicle, I have to determine whether or not it's an e-bike, okay, meaning that it's one of the classifications in California, not over 28 miles an hour, can't go over 28 miles an hour or have over 750 watts. Once it does that, it then becomes an e-moto or an illegal e-bike. Okay, so once that happens, other things come into play. It has to be registered. The person has to have a proper license, a motorcycle license. It has to have proper insurance and proper training. Okay, so again, that people riding a motorcycle are over 16, right. But this was a child. Okay, and it wasn't an e-bike. So from a civil standpoint, it makes a big difference if he's hurt or he hurts somebody and he killed this 81-year-old person, who's going to be responsible for that? And they're going to hold the mother responsible, and it's not going to be covered under any insurance, and she's going to have to be personally responsible for the damages and the death of this individual. And then if the kid gets hurt by a car or something like that on that illegal e-moto, he would not be covered under insurance that might have covered him, like the automobile policy or his uninsured motorist coverage or underinsured motorist coverage.
Wow. So that is really, that is really taking a risk when you let your child go out on that kind of e-moto.
Big risk, okay, not only criminal, but now, as I'm pointing out, the civil responsibility could be huge.
Right. We will keep track of this because I'm curious what's going to happen to the mother as this case works its way through the courts. Jim Pocrass, we want to hear about your trip to Europe and all the bicycle infrastructure that you saw there. And I look forward to talking to you again in a couple of weeks about other legal issues that affect people who ride bicycles for a living or just for fun.
Thank you.
Jim Pocrass
Thanks, Jim.
of Pocrass and De Los Reyes, bike lawyer. We will stay on this e-bike, e-moto issue because it is continuing to be in the news.
These e-motos are making people think they need to crack down on e-bikes.
That's throwing the baby out with the bathwater.
Right.
I also had a chance to talk with Jonah Kanner, who is a board member of the Pasadena Complete Streets Coalition, about a competition they're doing for the worst bike lane in the city of Pasadena. So here's Jonah Kanner. We usually try to talk about and celebrate the best bike lanes in America, whether it be America's bike lane on 15th Street in Washington, D.C. or wherever. Well, Pasadena is having a competition for the worst bike lane. And with us today is Jonah Kanner, who is on the steering committee of the Pasadena Complete Streets Coalition. Jonah, you've been on before, I think, no?
Yeah, that's right. Hey, Taylor. It's great to talk with you.
It's great to see you. I'm trying to think what we talked about last time when you were on.
I know we talked about our bike month, which is timely because we got our next bike month.
Our next bike month. So this will be a yearly thing with us then, eh?
I hope so. And, actually, we posted a blog about bike paths in Los Angeles that you guys featured, and that was a nice thing to cover too. So those were some of the better bike routes.
Yeah. Well, tell us about the worst bike lane competition.
Yeah. So I mean, of course, we're all familiar, right? We're all familiar with typical problems with bike lanes where they're too narrow or they're right next to speeding traffic or, gosh, they just quit on you and dump you out into traffic. And one of the things we noticed here was that a lot of these really bad bike routes would actually be really easy to fix. And that was something that we'd been talking about, how easy it would be in some places to add physical protection where you wouldn't have to make a big change to the street, but there's already a space there to do it, right? You don't have to move the parking. You don't necessarily have to move lanes around, but you got to get that protection in. Yeah. There's some places where the bike lane drops out and there's just, again, it just feels like there's no reason the space is there to keep it, but it's just missing.
Right.
And so we were talking about this and we thought, how can we highlight the opportunity for change here? And we thought a fun way to do that would be to have a contest for the worst bike lane. So we went out, we took some photos.
Great.
We've got 5 candidates. These are all bike lanes in Pasadena, California, right outside of Los Angeles, not too far from Glendale.
Right.
And all these bike lanes, they're along pretty busy streets. They're too narrow. They're unprotected. Some of them have gaps that just drop out. There's a paint-only bike lane. There's a painted buffer. And on the right side, there's nothing. There's no parking. Right. There's no driveways. There's just a curb. Why can't we put some protection there?
Right.
Right. It'd be easy to come in with one of those with a little bit of concrete or some planters and make that safer. And so
let me ask you, have you reached out to the powers that be in Pasadena and do you get anything back from them? What do they say?
Yeah, that's a good question. Some of these we have reached out before. We haven't seen a lot of action, which is why we're trying to push on this a little bit.
Right.
And we're actually, part of the reason we've been thinking about this so much is because the city's getting ready to redo their master bike plan. And as part of that, we're putting forward our own vision for that. So we've put together a community-driven version of that bike plan that we hope they'll take as inputs that includes all of these projects. And we've tried to feature and highlight projects that we think would be easy, where the opportunity's there, the space is on the street, and it wouldn't take so much to come in with a little bit of protection or a few extra feet of space and make that better.
Well, I just would hate for them to wait and for someone to be killed. We know that paint is not infrastructure, and paint doesn't protect you from a distracted, drunk, tired driver. And that's what will happen eventually, and it just is, a matter of time and I agree with you. I don't understand why those kinds of bike lanes are not protected with bollards or turtles or any number of different things. I often think when we are in a parking lot, they protect cars from shopping carts with more infrastructure than they protect people from moving cars.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And I think too, I think some of this might be a change in mindset, right? Because a lot of times with these projects, the city will come in, what do they want to do? They want to write a grant, they want to have community meetings, they want to talk about it, they want to design about it. It becomes a political issue. With some of these, where the space is already on the road, you don't have to change the configuration. Rather than thinking of it as a change that needs a community discussion,
right?
Why don't we think of it as something that's broken, that's not up to spec, and we want to fix it, and it could be automatic.
Totally.
One of the things that a lot of these bad bike lanes had in common was that the lane widths, we measured lane widths, and we found that the car lanes are too wide,
right,
and the bike lanes are too narrow,
which encourages speeding.
That's right. I mean, it's one of the things I heard on your show was we want to give the right amount of space to cars, but not too much space.
Right.
And if we give them too much space, that encourages speeding, and it's a dangerous situation. So Pasadena's design guide, and this is probably true in other cities, says car lane width should be about 10 feet. Well, we went and measured these. They're 12-foot lanes, 13-foot lanes. They're built to highway spec.
Right.
If you've got a 2 lanes and you shrink them down from 12 feet to 10 feet, now you've right-sized that lane, you've reduced speeding, you've made the street safer, and now I've got 4 or 5 extra feet. I can double the width of this bike lane. I've got room to put that physical protection. And that's, again, that's not a change to how a street is used. That's taking something that's out of spec, that's broken, and fixing it. And I'd love to see that kind of thing be done in an automatic way.
Right. I love how you put that, because if the sewer was leaking, we wouldn't have a community meeting about, well, should we fix that leaking sewer or the methane gas or whatever? We would just fix it. So that's a very good way to think about. That's a broken bike lane in a broken street.
Yeah, and actually it's more than a metaphor, right? Because this bike lane is in the gutter. This is you're asking me to ride the bike in the sewer. Right. Give me a few extra feet there, and you can fix that.
So is there a voting day? How are you going to complete this process of picking the worst bike lane? Will you rank them 1 to 5 or?
I'm so glad you asked. So we've got the vote posted at pasadenacsc.org. If you go there, you can see the blog post about this. Yeah. And so you can see pictures of all the candidates, a description, what's wrong with them. There's a voting form at the bottom. We're taking votes now. So we'll announce the winner at the end of the month. And votes are coming in.
Is it the winner or the loser? But
it's a dubious honor, that's for sure. Yeah. Yeah. So
we've been talking a lot about Pasadena with their bike buses and some of the other things that are going on in Glendale, which is near you in Pasadena. Tell me what else you all have on the docket for Bike Month.
Yeah, so we've got a great Bike Month coming up. Taylor, a person you probably know, Colin Bogart, is organizing Bike Month this year. We have a great thing in Pasadena where the Pasadena DOT sponsors Bike Month. And so it's a funded series of events. We've got maybe 15 or more events on the calendar. They're all free. They're all open to the community. We've got a mural ride this weekend. We've got a learn to ride class for kids planned. Right. Got an architecture tour. We've got some screenings. We're going to have at least 1 or 2 film screenings of bike-themed movies. So that's going to be at Pasadena Bike Month, if you Google for that.
Okay.
And we got a whole calendar that's up now.
Yeah. I ride through Pasadena a fair amount, and there is some infrastructure, and the Rose Bowl is there. And of course, that's a big area for people who want to ride in circles. And it's fun. I mean, there's a big Peloton there. that I think they're still riding there on Tuesdays and Thursday nights at like 7 o'clock or something.
I'm sure that's true. We've got a lot of bike clubs.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people riding here. Pasadena is a great area for it. We've got a great grid, and so it's really got good bones to be, I believe, one of America's great biking cities, which is why I'm so passionate about projects here. So there are people that bike here. It is more popular than a lot of cities in America,
Right.
actually. But I think, as you know, that there's so many people who would ride, who would be more willing to ride if streets were just a little bit safer.
Sure.
And that's why we're trying to do this work. I do think that by being focused on safety, by being focused on all forms of active transportation, we're able to build just a little bit broader tent. And,
Great. Well,
we're serious about safety. We live here,
Right.
and we want to get home safe.
Yeah, and a big tent definitely is advantageous. So tell me about the Pasadena Community Bike Plan.
Yeah, so the city of Pasadena is getting ready to redo their master bike plan. They're going to make a new active transportation plan for the city, and the bike plan will be part of that. There's a fairly sizable contract to do it, so it's $890,000 that are being paid to a contractor to, make a new bike plan.
Wow.
We thought it was really important that as the biking and safety community in Pasadena, that we put forward our vision of what we'd like to see in there. And as we were talking about how to do this, one of the things that came out in the discussion was we wanted to try and make it look nice. And as much as we could, we wanted to try and make it be something that looked professional and inviting, something that looked like what the contractor would make, really.
Right.
To make it something that our city council members and the people who live here would be willing to read. And of course, we didn't know how to do that. We're an all-volunteer group. We don't have any professional designers on our team, but we used the tools of the internet. And the suggestion was something really simple, which was, hey, silly, use a Canva template. And I thought, well, gosh, I got a Canva. I'm not a designer, but I got a Canva account. I'm going to show you this here,
Yeah.
Taylor. This is our community bike plan. This is what we came up with.
Oh, it looks great.
I hope even if you don't think it looks nice, you can say it looks nice. We're really proud of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
it didn't cost $890,000 to create.
Nope. We're just going to tell people what we think. We don't need a contractor to come in and ask us. Though if they do come in and ask us, we'll tell them.
Well, hopefully they will look at this.
I hope that's the plan. So the plan is to give them a document in the language that, in the format and language that they use and know and understand. And, coming back to the worst bike lane discussion, we tried to put forward principles for guiding this that would be easy to implement and that would make the city accessible to a lot more people.
Right.
And so we ended up landing on these three big recommendations, or three big categories of recommendations: upgrade high stress bike lanes, add missing routes, and make network connections.
Great.
And a lot of these are low cost things that I think the city could do quickly if they were willing.
Right.
And so that's what we're putting forward. And our big ask is that Pasadena gets a all ages and abilities connected bike network.
Right. From 8 to 80. Yeah.
8 to 80. That's right. That's the goal. And so we want to put that first, that all ages and abilities is everything. Because if you don't build it for everyone, you're really not building it for anyone.
Right.
And so that's what we're pushing. And we hope that that making our document look nice will help our message get through to the contractors and get through to the city.
Is this online? Can our listeners see this?
It sure is. It's at pasadenacsc.org. And actually, there's a petition of support for this. So I'd love folks to take a look. And if they like it, give us a signature on that online petition.
Great.
And for the advocates out there, this is, I don't know, maybe this can be a model for how we can
template,
get our
copy
message
away.
across.
Right.
Yeah, get in there. Yeah.
Great. Jonah Kanner, thank you very much for coming back on the show and for putting this out there. I love this idea. I hope people copy it and have the worst bicycle lane competition in their city as a way to get everyone realizing that no one's going to bike in this bike lane if it ends right there and dumps you off in traffic, or if there's just a strip of white paint, protecting you, or not even protecting you, separating you from a car going 35, 40, 45 miles an hour.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you, Taylor. So we got the candidates live at pasadenacsc.org. Please remember to vote.
I love that. Thanks a lot, Jonah.
Okay, thanks, Taylor.
You do plays, right? You're a theater director, right?
I'm a theater director and a theater actor and an actor in general, baby.
Have you ever seen a play where people rode bikes?
I have not seen a play where people ride bikes. No.
Well, they made some called the Kittie Knox Plays. They were plays in place. Have you heard of that?
Yes, I have heard of that. And that's a great movement. Site-specific plays, where plays are done in the site of where the play takes place.
Yeah. So here's Patrick Gabridge, who wrote the Kittie Knox
Great.
Plays. Patrick Gabridge, you came to our attention through Kendra Ramsey of Cowbike. Do you know her?
I do. We met at the National Bike Summit just a little bit ago. We actually won the Kittie Knox Award for promoting diversity in cycling for our project with Mass Bike. And we also had a table there talking about our Kittie Knox Plays project.
So Kittie Knox, do you want to say who that was?
Yes. So Kittie Knox was a biracial cyclist, a bit of a biracial barrier breaker back in the 1890s during the cycling craze in the U.S. when cycling was everything. She was breaking barriers around gender and a fast rider. Even though she was a woman, she worked on changing costume. She was riding in bloomers. And then she was fighting against the color bar that was being gradually imposed by the League of American Cyclists, or League of American Wheelmen at the time.
Wow, that is not something they would be proud of. And this was at the League of American Bicyclists, so atoning for that history.
Absolutely. I really appreciate what Bicyclists has done to kind of reckon with some of the tough parts of their history. So yeah, in 1895, she was the only rider of color to go to the national meet in Asbury Park, New Jersey, which was a segregated town at that time. She managed to ride anyway. There's various accounts, and you've got to keep in mind how popular cycling was at the day. So every paper had at least a cycling column. There were dozens, at least, of major cycling publications around the country. Even the Wheelwoman, there's one dedicated to women. And so her presence at the national meet in Asbury Park caused quite a stir. And it's reported in many, many different papers, but always something different. So it's hard to figure out exactly what happened. That's one of the plays that we wrote.
So you wrote several plays about Kittie Knox. They're called the Kittie Knox Plays.
Exactly. So our company, Plays in Place, we produce site-specific plays in partnership with museums and historic sites. Always new plays, always building them kind of from the ground up. So it's not Shakespeare in the Park. This is a whole new thing. In this particular case, historian Larry Finnison had come to me, wanted to find somebody who wanted to do a play about Kittie and her story, about her and her friends and the struggles they had and the successes and the joy they found. And we said, yes, we're going to do this and we'll find a way to raise the money. And we worked together with Mass Bike, our statewide bicycling advocacy organization, to be our fiscal sponsor and partner with us on this project. So we actually commissioned 3 one-act plays about Kittie and that take place in 1893, 1895, and 1896 as the culture and society in America is changing, becoming a little more oppressive. By the time we get to 1896, we see Plessy versus Ferguson allowing separate facilities based on race to be legal in America. But it's talking about her and about cycling and a whole bunch of stuff. But we wanted to do them as bike plays. So the actors are on bikes. We have 9 actors, 9 bikes. The audience is seated, but the audience moves from place to place. They move from play number 1 to play number 2 to play number 3. They move on foot, as does we had a live band that went with us too. The actors are in historical costumes. They're on kind of regular bikes, but they're going on bikes. They're coming in and out of scenes on cycles all the time. It was a lot of fun. We produced this in Greater Boston in September of 2025. So we did it in Boston, Cambridge, and in Milton at a historic site. So 3 different weekends, 3 different towns. It was amazing. It really brought her, she was just a joyful person, wouldn't take no for an answer, loved to go on century rides. And it's talking about her and her friends.
Wow, it sounds so good. So I guess that was it. You had to be there. There's
But luckily, we had an idea that let's make it more than just you have to be there. So we decided to publish a book of not just the scripts of the plays, but also production photos, some historical essays from the participants about why this was a meaningful experience to them, what they learned, also discussion questions if people wanted to bring it to classrooms, tips and how-tos. So it's a really comprehensive guide to how this can be produced elsewhere. And our goal, the reason I was at the National Bike Summit, was to connect cycling organizations with this project, and hopefully they will take it to their communities. And so I'd love to see cycling groups in Providence and Chicago and Los Angeles and Portland connect with people in their local communities, whether it's local theater companies or high schools or college theater groups, to do these plays in their own community, because they're a lot of fun and they really bring up this way of engaging with this moment in American history most people don't know about, but also in a way that's really fun. When you add bikes to things are a lot more fun.
I would love to see this play. I feel like I almost has there ever been a play on bikes before that you know of?
There have been some plays that involve bikes for sure, and there are a few organizations that do some theatrical bike kind of stuff. I think this is somewhat unique. It's definitely highly unusual, that's for sure. I hope we get to see it done in other places because I think it'll be done always slightly differently by everybody who does it. Actually, I'd love to see it done out here. I live in Western Massachusetts in Northampton, in the area of kind of where you live. Like we have this park, Look Park, which would be the ideal site for this play to be done someday. You never know.
Yeah, let's do it. Do you support Picture Main Street?
Absolutely. Yeah, I heard your episode last week. I can't wait for that to get redone. I hope it does. It's just, I bike quite a bit, and I'm kind of a practical cyclist. Like I'm someone who likes to ride around and do my errands and stuff like that. Years ago when we lived in Boston, we got rid of our car and did everything by bike. And you can do that in our town, but it's very hard to be downtown because it's very dangerous. You don't feel safe because there's pedestrians trying to cross long streets. There's diagonal in parking, so people can't see you when they're backing up. It doesn't feel comfortable on a car or a bike on foot, which is kind of the trifecta, right?
Yeah. But back to your plays, winner of the Kittie Knox Prize. Were all the other contenders also doing something about Kittie Knox? Or
No, it's funny. The prize wasn't made just for us, and I don't think we won it just because our plays are named after Kittie Knox. This award's been around for a few years. As the league has kind of come to grips with its history. So what had happened in the 1890s, Southern bike clubs were telling the league, look, we're not going to ride with you anymore. You can't expect us to ride with black cyclists. That's just not how it's done. The Northern groups pushed back for a while, but ultimately, I think it was in 1894, the Southern groups were able to convince the league to put a color bar into the league constitution saying all new members must be white. The modern league, I think, has really come to grips with that and done some investigation into, what was going on. And certainly when Kittie rode at Asbury Park, she had support from the groups from Massachusetts where she, rode. And again, you could see this change happening. And it's kind of an interesting moment in American history where this thing happens. Like with the advent of the safety bike, cycling suddenly becomes accessible to a lot of people. And it provides this access to freedom of movement for women and for people who can't afford a horse and a carriage. And remember, there's no cars on the road. So it's horses and carriages and bikes. And it's odd, but actually the Good Roads movement run by the cyclists to promote good roads that they could then go on long rides for ends up benefiting cars when cars come along, just a decade later and start encroaching on the roadways. But there's this kind of moment in the 1890s where in terms of sport, remember, football hasn't really taken off. Basketball and baseball are newish. And cycling is everything. Like racing is a big thing, but it's also this social event. People can get out. And it's really accessible to kind of middle-class people. Kittie Knox is a seamstress. So she raises enough money by sewing gowns and dresses to buy her own bike. And she socializes with all the different... There were so many bike clubs. But it was really this accessible way of moving around and socializing with people. Super social.
There's so much history there. Roads are for bikes.
Originally, yeah. Bikes and horses.
Okay, yeah. Horses too.
Horses too. We don't see the horses so much anymore. But bikes, yeah. And bikes don't wear out roads. It takes a lot of bikes to wear out a road.
Thanks for the perspective, Patrick. And we will put the Kittie Knox Plays up on our bookshop page on Bike Talk, so people can go to biketalk.org and get it.
Great.
And
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'll see you around maybe some of the Bike Week events in Northampton.
Absolutely. Yeah. Really great talking with you.
Good show.
We want to thank all of our guests, Paula and Dani at LA Cyclery, Jim Pocrass. We want to thank Jonah Kanner, Aaron Shaw,
Patrick Gabridge, and Kittie Knox.
And Kittie Knox. And we always want to thank our regulars, Julie Richard, Josh Hagland, Stacey Randecker, Lindsay Sturman, Amy Ziering, and Kevin Burton.
I'd like to do a bike post of the week. It's from Nietifa Van Sweeker on Blue Sky. Taylor absolutely nails it with Bike to Fill in the Blank Day. This is totally what Bike League should be doing this year and what they must incorporate next year. Bike to groceries, date night, daycare, wine and baguette, parent visit, friend's house, coffee, pizza, tacos, brewery, baseball.
That's like, D, all of the above.
Yeah. I mean, we got to be having more of these.
Yeah. Bike to wine and baguette day.
Right? Like we're not already doing that. I don't know. I'm not actually doing that, but I bet there's a lot of that.
Yeah, there should be.
In Paris. Thanks, Taylor.
Ride safe.
This episode of Bike Talk is sponsored by the law offices of Pocrass and De Los Reyes, with offices in Los Angeles and Bakersfield and serving all of Southern California.
Bike Talk is a project of CRSP and the Los Angeles Eco-Village Institute. And that was Bike Talk. If you have a story, a tip, or a topic, head over to biketalk.org and send us a message. Talk again next week.
Oh, get that car out of my way. I want to ride my bike today. It keeps me fit, gets me there. I won't go stinking up the air. Leave behind the daily grind. Let your mind unwind. Live its life, pretend to life. Better get yourself a bike. Get on your bike, sit on the seat, put your feet on the pedal, and run all around, run all around. Get on your bike, sit on the seat, put your feet on the pedal, and run all around, run all around. Get that car out of my way, I wanna ride my bike today. It keeps me fit, gets me there, I won't go stinking up the air. Leave behind the daily grind, let your mind unwind. Live its life, pretend to life, better get yourself a bike. Got yourself a bike. Oh, 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 got yourself a bike.